Hello everyone, Michael here, and I'm here to let you know and here to let my subscribers know that for the next week, I will not be posting any videos on this channel. The reason why is because I strongly believe that there are far more important voices out there that need to be heard. These voices that I'm referring to, of course, are the protests that are happening in so many U.S. cities across the nation, how they're even going across the world. Now, as many of you know, these protests began with the murder of an African-American man named George Floyd, a murder committed by a police officer. Now, at the time of this recording, the police officer was arrested and is facing charges. And at the time of this recording, the 3 other police officers that were there at the scene were now also arrested and facing charges as well. This is a huge win. This is a huge win for the Floyd family. This is a huge win for the Black community. But I also cannot help but think, is this enough? How many more Black men and women need to die for the message to come across? How many more brothers, sisters, fathers, mothers, daughters, and sons have to live in fear that if they leave their house, they may never come back? Systematic oppression. Systematic oppression has occurred in the U.S. for 400 years. For 400 years, the Black community has to live in fear. Something has to be done, and something has to be done now. And I believe that that time is coming. I believe that this right here is the most powerful tool because everything is now broadcasted and everything is being exposed. I wanted to address the protests that are going on. Now, as many of you know, there are at least 2 different groups of protesters out there right now. There are the peaceful demonstrators, and there are, of course, the rioters and looters, the ones that are causing destruction, defacing private property. They are burning down buildings and cars. They are causing mayhem. Now, I do not condone violence, but at the same time, too, I understand what's going on. In fact, I'm going to read you a quote from a French poet named Victor Hugo. "If a soul is left in the darkness, sins will be committed. The guilty one is not he who commits the sin, but he who causes the darkness." It didn't need to come to this. It really did not. I believe that if there was equality amongst all men and women throughout the whole entire nation, it doesn't matter what color you are, it wouldn't come to this, but it did. And you ask why? It's because of the imbalance of structure within this nation. I strongly believe that something needs to be done within law enforcement in multiple counties and cities. I believe that there has been too much corruption and too many bad cops. One bad cop is enough to make the entire force look bad. It makes them look like they are nothing but power-hungry, abusive bullies. It needs to stop now. These are lives out there. Now, there are a lot of people that are defending cops and saying that blue lives do matter. I'm going to stop you right there, okay? I do believe that every life there does matter, but you have to think about this. The cops out there, they knew what they were signing up for. They are there to serve and protect their communities, not to be bullies, not to abuse their power. Something needs to change, and it needs to happen now. You're tired of the riots? You're tired of the destruction of your own neighborhood? You and I need to make this happen. Otherwise, it's going to just keep on going, a vicious cycle within this nation. Now, I do realize that I am a small channel here. I'm a very small voice in this platform, and I want to make things clear that I am not making this video to get clicks or to get likes or to get subscribers. As a matter of fact, I would invite you, the viewer, to take a break from watching channels such as mine and really just focus on the world right now, because what's happening right now is not only very important, it is profound. This event that is happening right now is about to change the world. Pay attention to it and really look closely. Now, for those who don't really give a damn about what I'm saying or what other people like myself are saying, then maybe you'll take these words into consideration.
And I will always continue to say that riots are socially destructive and self-defeating. I'm still convinced that non-violence is the most potent weapon available to oppress people in their struggle for freedom and justice. I feel that violence will only create more social problems than they will solve, and that in a real sense it is impractical for the Negro to even think of mounting a violent revolution in the United States. So I will continue to condemn riots and continue to say to my brothers and sisters that this is not the way. Continue to affirm that there is another way. But at the same time, it is as necessary for me to be as vigorous in condemning the conditions which cause persons to feel that they must engage in riotous activities as it is for me to condemn riots. I think America must see that riots do not develop out of thin air. Certain conditions continue to exist in our society, which must be condemned as vigorously as we condemn riots. But in the final analysis, a riot is the language of the unheard. What is it that America has failed to hear? It has failed to hear that the plight of the Negro poor has worsened over the last few years. It has failed to hear that the promises of freedom and justice have not been met. And it has failed to hear that large segments of white society are more concerned about tranquility and the status quo than about justice, equality, and humanity. And so in a real sense, our nation's summers of riots are caused by our nation's winters of delay. And as long as America postpones justice, we stand in the position of having these recurrences of violence and riots over and over again. Social justice and progress are the absolute guarantors of riot prevention.